Every month, Cyber Collective hosts creative research events to educate and inform on technical topics related to data ethics, security, and privacy. Thank you for joining us. Let's jump right in.
I blew myself off the stage and now we're back. It wouldn't be an event online if there wasn't a hiccup in the beginning. But welcome, everybody. We're so glad to have you here. I want to start off, just jump right in and talk about the fact that there are a lot of different ways to talk about privacy online and how it affects our lives. I'm going to assume that many of you here have seen or know of headlines that have to do with cyber attacks and companies getting hacked left and right. You've probably also heard stories about people's identities getting stolen, accounts online getting tampered with. Perhaps you've experienced this yourself. So it's safe to say that keeping your information private will keep you safe from cyber attacks. Yes, this is true. But this isn't the only way that your information being bare naked on the internet can affect you. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here. I'm Tazeen Khan, founder and CEO of Cyber Collective, and I'm joined tonight by my incredible teammates, Farah and Rebecca, who are in the chat. And we are going to cover how to privately use social media. If you're still with me, give me a clap or something in the chat. Know that I'm navigating between two screens, so if there's any delay, that is why. All right, well, let's talk about what to expect from today's session. First, I want to mention that this is a part one of a two-part series. Next month, we're going to be covering how to securely use the internet. Today, our goal is to help you all understand the big picture around your data, how it's being used, and the importance of becoming privacy aware. So in this session, we'll cover a deeper understanding of how your behavior online impacts you and everyone around you, what it means to be digitally mindful and privacy aware. And then we'll give you some tips on how to use social media privately, very practical and to the point. And all the while, you'll have a worksheet to help you follow along with glossary terms and resources that is available right now for you to download. I'll give everyone just a minute to go ahead and download the worksheet and let us know what you think as well. Here at Cyber Collective, our mission is to empower people to think critically about their relationship with the internet while helping them become secure and private online. We accomplish this through relatable content that you can find on our social media platforms and monthly creative sessions like today's. And we use a method that's pretty special to us. Let's call it Getting Psycho. Our sessions are broken down into 3 parts. We educate you on a specific topic. We then use poll questions throughout the session to assess your retention of this topic. So make sure that when you get these poll questions, you're answering. It really helps us gain some insights and continue to help the broader community. And then we close out the event with a Socratic seminar where we have an open discussion to analyze the impact of the information that you just learned. And we'll be breaking out into open discussions throughout. So please, if you are willing, I'll allow access to your cameras and microphones so that you can jump on stage with me and have a conversation. And a couple of house rules that we would like to share. In this space, we value authenticity, inclusivity, and community. So show up as you are, be respectful to those around you, and keep in mind that your behavior, words, and actions impact the broader community. So, speaking of impact and actions in the broader community, let's dive into how our actions online have pretty big consequences. Some of those consequences we have control over, and others, unfortunately, we don't. But today we're going to focus on the things that we do have control over. But first, we have to understand the way that information is collected, distributed, and used. And before we talk more about what is being collected, I have a few questions that I would love to get answered to get a feel for the room so that I can gauge the level of, I guess, knowledge and technicality in here. But again, our goal here is to make things as simple as possible and to the point. All right, a poll question is coming at you. Well, it already came. Are you concerned with what social media apps are collecting? Another is, are you aware of what social media apps are collecting? And I'd love to just open up the floor to give people a chance to share what they know or don't know, or goals that they have in attending today. So if anybody wants to speak up, just go ahead and raise your hand in the chat and I will let you join. Because we really want to get an understanding of who's here, why you're here, and what you're looking to accomplish. Don't everybody all go at once. All right, cool. So I think that, I know why you all are here, probably to learn how to privately use social media. So let's talk about these consequences. Let's talk about the impact and what is actually being collected. So this is really small print. This is actually taken directly from the Facebook's privacy policy. So I'm not sure if you all are aware of exactly what social media platforms are collecting, but I'd like to share a couple of facts with you, again, taken directly from Facebook's now available privacy policy. So the information that's being collected by social media is not limited to just photos and, what you're liking and who you're talking to, but the metadata that's associated to any information on your photo. And metadata is the small details that are associated to your photo, such as the location of the photo, the date that it was created. And depending on if you allow contact information to be uploaded, give me a yes or a no if you have allowed Facebook to access your contacts on social media. Good job. Yes, love that. Oh my gosh, so proud of all of you. Not sure. Totally okay. Well, good. All of you are seemingly privacy aware folks. And if you had allowed access to it, and many people do, it's not only giving access to your contacts, but it's giving access to your entire phone. And it's giving access into your call logs and any and all messages, your log history, your usage. Facebook also collects information about how you use their products, such as the type of content that you view or engage with, to the point of how long you are scrolling over something, the features that you use, the actions that you take, the people or the accounts that you interact with, the frequency and duration of your activities. This is verbatim from their privacy policy. For example, we log when you're using and have last used our products and what posts, videos, and other content you view on our products. They also collect device information about the computers, phones that are connected TVs, and other web-connected devices that you use that integrate with their products. And you can also decide to provide additional information, but depending on if you have apps connected and linked, you're also allowing Facebook to get access. You're not only allowing Facebook to get access, but you're also now allowing all of those third parties to have that same access. So essentially, you are really allowing social media to collect everything. And I want us to dig deep into why this matters. And for many that I talk to on a frequent basis, I hear a couple of the same objections, right? Of, well, I don't care. They have everything anyway, or my information doesn't matter. Who cares if they have it? And today I want to talk about why you should care and how it impacts you and larger communities. So the information that's being connected and just privacy at large can be explained in so many different ways. And as we were putting together this presentation, it was so hard to figure out how to take this very, very complex and layered subject and turn it into something digestible and short form, essentially. And the information that's being collected by social media platforms can affect us in a number of ways. So as I started this presentation, I talked about cyber attacks, right? So the more information you share online, the more access that cyber criminals have, the easier it is to find you online, find information about you that's personal, that may tie to your security questions, that may allow access to different accounts and whatnot. So cyber attacks are a really big reason why we should be privacy aware, right? And how the information that we're sharing on the internet can affect us downstream. It can also affect us in the way that we are advertised to and marketed to. And I know that there are a couple of advertisers and marketers in this group right now. And sometimes it's not a bad thing, right? If you ask people, do you like your social media giving you recommendations of things that you might like? I, as a security specialist, love that. I love the fact that I don't have to search deep to find something, and that if I do enjoy something, I might get an ad for another opportunity or an experience of some sort. But a lot of this advertising just isn't happening ethically, and it's not regulated. And the part that goes deeper is the way that these data aggregators are collecting the information, how they're collecting it, and what they're using this information for, and not just to advertise and market to you, but this larger data ecosystem that exists and all of the players that are attached to it. I'll give an example. So The Great Hack, I don't know, give me a high five if you have watched The Great Hack. It is a docufilm on Netflix that talks about Cambridge Analytica. And so during that docufilm, Brittany Kaiser, and in her book Targeted, she talks about her time and experience at Cambridge Analytica and how they created these different psychographic analytics to determine how to target people and essentially affect people's agency. And a lot of us don't even realize, and sometimes I have to sit there and think and wonder, is this something that I actually like, or am I being told to like it? And once you work in this space and understand the amount of information that people have of you, you start thinking about these questions more and more. And that's our hope here today, is to allow you all to have just enough information to allow you to critically think about your interaction online also. So again, the information being collected is affecting us a number of ways: cyber attacks, how we're marketed to, and then also how we are being allotted opportunities. And this is the part that gets pretty sketchy. So some of you may know, some of you may not know, that the information that gets collected can affect us in a lot of different ways. And the fact that it affects marginalized groups a lot worse than others because of how the information is collected and distributed and aggregated, stored, and shared. These are simply two examples in the way that our data being out in the ether and us unaware of it can affect us. So Facebook explained how one of its advertising clients based outside of the US wanted to exclude individuals from future promotional offers on the basis of their credit. So as you can see, Facebook, there were these rumors a few years ago that Facebook would become the source of credit scoring, which is so scary. Can you imagine your Facebook profile, your college days, high school days, being used as leverage to determine if you are allotted credit to get a loan today, that can be pretty problematic for a lot of people. And the fact that it's completely unregulated, and this is something that happened for real. So Facebook, using the data provided through their program called Actionable Insights, or using data from Actionable Insights, a data science strategist, this a role for Facebook continues to hire, they were able to generate profiles of customers with desirable and undesirable credit standings. And then the advertising client used these profiles to target and exclude certain users who resembled these profiles. So they had access and then determined, okay, well, this demographic of people who might have really good credit perhaps wants to look at these homes and real estate in really nice neighborhoods. And perhaps this group of people that don't have the best credit or don't fit those profiles maybe don't get those advertisements. And perhaps they get advertisements for casinos and liquor stores. This goes into a lot of the conversations that affect and are related to the systemic issues that we have in place today. And a lot of this data collection continues to perpetuate the problem, unfortunately. There's another example of a leading Europe-based advocate, and this is a quote directly from Ruha Benjamin's book, Race After Technology. It is an incredible read. A leading Europe-based advocate for workers' data rights described how she was denied a bank loan despite having a high income and no debt because the lender had access to her health file, which had shown she had a tumor. And I'm not making this up. What you say or do on social media can and will be used against you in the court of law. There have been plenty of arrests that have taken place through social media posts that the feds are constantly monitoring, and a lot of them have socially engineered their way into your profiles, even if your profile is private. And that's why we'll get into some of the tips that we have, but who you become friends with and allow access to your social media spaces are really important too, because there's no saying what profiles are, bots or what profiles are actual social engineering attempts. So this quote really resonated, right? In a world that daily disconnects further from truth more and more, people accept the virtual in place of the real. And all things virtual are also malleable. And this quote comes from the book Future Crimes by Mark Goodman. And on your worksheet, you'll see the references to these books that we're sharing right now. But it really goes into this idea that he names a chapter. It's called In Screens We Trust. And even as we have conversation, things that are kind of embedded into society so easily, right? It's like, oh, I don't know what so-and-so is, or I need to look something up. And we automatically respond with, well, Google it. How accurate is Google? How accurate and how deeply can you trust the information that's coming to your screens? Because what is actually reaching your screen? It's data, and it's, I forget the word, it's slipping my mind right now, but it's, pardon me, you can mend and mold the data. It's malleable. You can change it. And so the data that is appearing, the information that's appearing on your screen is curated. So what makes you think that it's not targeted, biased, potentially harmful, and could also be really good and beneficial? But there's some deep-rooted history of the bias that exists within the internet. And these books, Future Crimes, Race After Technology, Dr. Sophia Noble's Algorithmic Oppression, these pieces of literature will really help you understand the history and how this bias translates into the way that we use the internet today. and then essentially affects our agency, our autonomy, and how we all interact with one another. So I've done a lot of talking, and I want to pause here to do a discussion break, because a part of our sessions are about the research and the interaction as a group. And while we can't see everybody together right now, if you do have something to say, I will give you the capacity to come join me on stage. But I'd love to know in the chat, on a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you value your privacy? On a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you value your privacy? Do you think social media can truly be private? Do you think, if you all can answer the poll question, even if you said no, I really appreciate that. It helps us with the analytics. Do you think that you personally act privately on social media? And do you feel influenced to share content online? Do you feel influenced to share content online? I would love to make this a discussion. If anybody wants to jump up, wants to say anything, give comments or questions about what I've shared so far, I would absolutely love that. Do you feel in control of your decisions online? Did you know prior to this event that what you post on social media can affect your eligibility for loans, healthcare, and jobs? Julia, do you mind sharing a little bit more about how you feel more in control now than ever, but still kind of don't feel in more control? I'm calling people out because I want you to talk to me. Okay, perfect. I just invited you to the stage. Hi, Julia. Can't hear you yet. You are muted. I will request your microphone be on. Julia, can you hear me still? I think you're muted, so we can't hear you. If you guys can hear Julia, let me know so I don't assume. Oh, okay. Permissions. Good. We're getting permissions. If you do feel compelled to speak up throughout this session at any time, I ask that you go ahead and allow access to your mic just for now. And then once we end this session, I would recommend that you remove access to your microphone and camera. But if you are compelled to speak or share, I would love to hear. Lorena, I know you're in here if you want to share a few things about your experience with privacy and social media. Oh, Julia, there she is. Yay.
Yay. Hi, everyone. So I definitely think that I feel the most in control about my privacy on social media now than I ever have, in the sense that I am taking the time to, set my privacy settings and opt out of things that I don't necessarily want to be included in. And ever since I learned about the things that like Clearview AI does with all of the pictures that exist on the internet, I make sure to never post pictures of anybody besides myself. But even then, I still feel like by participating in it, I kind of give up a little bit of that power, and I'm in that process of coming to terms with how much of that power do I want to give up and how much do I want to continue participating in social media while still maintaining that level of privacy.
Do you think that social media, perhaps if you didn't have it, it has affected the way that you've gotten perhaps opportunity or affected any part of your extended life, such as like getting loans or, access to certain things?
Absolutely, to a certain degree. Like, for example, I do a lot of salsa dancing, and the only way to find out what events are going on in the town that I'm in is if you're on one of the many Facebook groups for the city. And so I recently re-downloaded Facebook and made sure not to like include any private information, not to give it access to any of my contacts, my pictures, or anything, just so that I could kind of stay in the touch with in the know with what's going on in terms of like things going on socially. But how it's affected me in other ways, I mean, the only reason that I have the job now is because one of my friends posted about the job opening on Instagram. And had it not been for that, I probably wouldn't have found it otherwise. So I do think that by completely excluding myself from social media, I might miss out on opportunities. But I don't necessarily, but like I said, I'm still trying to find that balance of how much do I want to participate in social media.
That's really helpful, and these insights that you all share allows us to understand what's important to you, and then also just get a community conversation going to help us critically think. So thank you, Julia, for sharing. I might call you up later again because you're a trooper. Thank you.
Thanks.
Oh, Chloe would like to share. I am absolutely happy to give some access. Chloe, give me 1 second. I'm inviting you to the stage. Hey, Chloe.
Hello.
Hello.
Yay.
You
So yeah,
sound super faint.
okay, let me see if I can talk a little bit louder.
Yeah,
Is
if
that
you
better?
get closer to where.
Yeah. I'm
Yeah.
pretty close to it, but yeah, okay. So yeah, I wanted to share, I feel like I got kind of lucky in the sense that I guess almost like 10 years ago had this class in college where it was like a project and we like went over the security protocols of Facebook. And so I've actually had like a higher level of privacy than a lot of people for a long time, though. Like they change their shit so much, like you have to go back in and change it. And yeah, I wanted to share because like kind of like what Julia said, like I feel a lot more in control now, and it's been like a couple years now of like journeying towards more privacy and like especially with these platforms. But I think Julia makes a really good point of like we're kind of almost forced to use these platforms like Facebook and Instagram. And there's not really a way to not do that. And even having the app on your phone, like it gives you, I recently switched to like doing a de-Googled device. So I'm on a de-Googled ROM. And so it like has all these extra permissions and stuff, and I can still choose them. But even to share a story, you have to like give Instagram permission to like your media files. And so yeah, like it's all these closed source platforms that are like you have to use them, but like doing it privately is definitely hard. So yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing and coming on here to have a conversation. I really appreciate it. So as Julia and as Chloe mentioned, right, there's this in between that a lot of us are feeling about social media, how it is potentially affecting our agency and the impact that it really has. And, We've done a ton of these types of sessions. We have had sessions in the past covering algorithmic bias, content filtering, and different legislation that exists within the privacy realm or lack thereof, and how you can just be secure in general. And a ongoing topic, right, like a through line in all of our work, is trying to really help people gain digital autonomy and feel comfortable, because at the end of the day, even at Cyber Collective as an organization, we love social media, right? We aren't trying to push out these platforms, because these platforms are the reason why we all got connected. We literally slid into each other's DMs, and how we first started working with each other. I personally have gotten ample opportunity and have met some great friends that now, actually, somebody here in the chat, we met online, but because we're both analog, we send each other letters in the mail instead of communicating through screens, which is really cool too. So social media is beautiful and can provide a ton of value. But it's the fact that social media is now being forced to be transparent about the information that they collect. But over the years, as it's grown, we've given a lot of consent and permissions to these tools and platforms, and they've unfortunately taken advantage of it, and it's gone a little too far. And now we're all trying to double back to figure out how we can maintain our autonomy while still being, almost forced to use these tools in order to stay connected, whether it be personally or professionally. So we're going to move into some of the solutions, because that is what we are here for. And a large part of today's session, right, we're going to be very existential, philosophical, and talk about that critical thinking aspect and big picture. What we like to push and talk about is digital mindfulness and simply slowing down. So these are a few tips that we really, really, really recommend as you navigate the internet and continue to leverage social media. We want you to think before you click. It sounds very elementary and quite simple, but often, because of the nature of the way these platforms are built, we just scroll and scroll and scroll, and we tap and we move on to the next thing. There's actual research about the way that our brain reacts to the way that the tools are created. And that research is what these marketers use to then market back to us. By the way, please read Brittany Kaiser's book, Targeted. But it makes it really, really important to think about what you are doing on the internet and ask yourself a set of questions. Did I validate and fact check the information I'm gathering? Is this post more harmful than it is beneficial? And the example is sharing videos of violence. So questions to also ask yourself before giving access to an app or website is, does this app need access to my personal information in order to use it? A really good example is the flashlight app that some people had, and allowed access to their microphone and photos. Why would a flashlight app need access to your microphone and photos? It doesn't, but they ask, and a lot of people just do it, not realizing that that information is being collected. Does this app explain why it needs my data? Have you checked their privacy policy? So sometimes apps that are collecting information, they need the information to make the tool better. They need the information to help with research and analytics to better the community. There are health resources, there are athletic resources and resources that monitor your biometrics. And they are really helpful in the way that we continue to learn about ourselves and the way that technology has progressed. And so If you feel that the app is valid in why it's collecting the information and their privacy policy checks out, then, feel comfortable saying yes, and then taking away access once you're done using the app for whatever you're using it for. And then the last question is the app clear on how I can delete my account, opt out, and request access to the data collected about me? So this is really important. We tend to download apps and then delete them and then never actually deactivate our accounts, or a lot of, for example, dating profiles. I will say that there is a Bumble profile that exists somewhere on the internet. I don't remember my password. I don't remember the email that I used. And it's still on there, but I'm married and my husband's on this call. Sorry, babe. But I don't know how to access it again. And there, at the time, wasn't a clear way to request that my account be deleted. But there's new legislation that exists that's really helping that as well. And there's just a large push for transparency in the industry that's allowing these platforms and kind of networking and social media tools to help you request access to your information, opt out of being tracked, and then again, make it very clear on how to delete your account. Are there any questions about these recommendations that we have? Want to make sure that this information is resonating with everybody. Everyone's good. Thank you, Chloe, for that recommendation. We really appreciate it. So the next piece of this is to become privacy aware. And again, there are just so many layers and different ways to talk about privacy and how it impacts our lives. But what you can do on the apps themselves to be private is turn off location sharing, switch to an iPhone, because of Apple's, like, just a hot take, because of all of Apple's new privacy features. A lot of marketers and advertisers are focusing their marketing efforts to Android users, because Apple users now have the opportunity to opt out and not be tracked. And that's really shaking the market. And then understanding that your behavior can make a difference. So you can make your page private. You can have a fake account, a Finsta account, where you don't post anything and you simply browse from a device that isn't connected to anything else personal. And posting your pictures with, pardon me, 1 second. Thank you for your patience. I'm back. Sorry about that. Okay, so your behavior can make a difference, right? So make your page private, have a Finsta account. And then when it comes to posting your pictures with locations, post it after you leave, because some people are crazy. And making sure that you keep your privacy as you're traveling and want to share online. And then being cognizant of sharing photos with unique identifiers and markers in the background. So if you're in a specific location and you don't want people to know that you're in that location, perhaps don't share something that is very specific to that location. So if you don't want people to know you're in Paris, taking a picture of the Eiffel Tower probably isn't the best idea. And then on top of that, understanding how your behavior affects other people. So respecting other people's privacy. This is super, super, super important. There's this culture that exists of just taking pictures of people and posting it online. We're constantly taking videos without asking for consent, or taking photos while other people might be in that photo. And as facial recognition technology becomes more rampant across the industry and within different tools, you never know how posting somebody else's photo can potentially harm them. Somebody might be within witness protection programs. Somebody might be a victim of domestic abuse and doesn't want their photo taken. And as Chloe or Julia, I think, mentioned earlier about Clearview AI, there are tools that exist that allow for a photo to be taken and for that photo to give literally every aspect of information that exists on the internet associated to that photo. That tool, Clearview AI, was actually recently purchased early last year by the CBP, which is our border patrol here in the States, and has become a huge conversation within the community. And it's just really helpful to be cognizant of the people's pictures that you're taking and how that might affect folks down the line. The last thing is to remember, right? Like, the less information you share about yourself online, the less susceptible you are to social engineering. And a lot of people, I am an oversharer on the internet, and I try to make sure that all of my internet protocols are in place, that I have, a threat model set up, and that I am being as secure as possible. And these are some things that we will talk about moving forward in next month's event as well. Any questions so far? There is an article about CBP that we can definitely share. And about sharing this slide on Instagram, we can share one with you directly, perhaps with a watermark, and then hopefully you can share that instead, or at least add a Cyber Collective social media handle. That'd be really helpful for us. Okay, cool. So we understand digital mindfulness. We are learning more about becoming privacy aware. And now we have some practical tips for social media privacy. Now, these screenshots were taken directly from Vocal Media. This is also credited and sourced in your worksheet, and it's from an article called How to Make Your Social Media Accounts as Private as Possible. So the first is to just do the simple setting changes, right? Go into each of your applications, and it typically lives underneath your account settings, and you can either become a fully private account, and then you can look at all of the various privacy settings that exist, and you can walk through and do this for each and every social media account that you have. I would even recommend doing this just for looking into the apps that you use on a daily basis and seeing what access that they have, how much information they're collecting based off of their privacy policy, and making sure that you limit their access depending on what you need to use the tool for. And then you can also make sure that you're not available within the search grid. So a lot of social engineering and cyber criminals are just really digging through the information that we share on the internet. So the less searchable you are, the easier it is for you to stay private and use social media a bit more low key. And you can do this by going to your privacy settings and then seeing who can search you. And then you can say friends, friends of friends, or public. And you can leave it to just friends or make yourself not searchable at all. And these are just a few very high level tips. And in the worksheet, you'll see how to turn off location sharing as well. And there are some step-by-step instructions available for you if you have questions. And then here are some of our favorite products and tools that can help you. So there are some browsers that you can use that are Google alternatives, like DuckDuckGo, which is our personal favorite. And if you want, I really, really recommend signing up for their newsletter. It's extremely informative. And then Tor browsers are really helpful. And there are a couple of different private search engines that are popping up that help you browse privately. We can go even deeper and suggest VPNs, virtual private networks that will allow you to anonymize yourself on the internet and not be as targeted with just marketing and advertisements. And we'll dig deeper into that next month at our event on how to use the internet securely. Our incredible creative researcher, Becca, uses this card protection app called Privacy. So it basically allows you to anonymously pay for things and not have your credit card information stored on a certain application, which is a really cool tool. I'm not as familiar with it. I just learned about it through Rebecca, so I can't speak to it. But she loves it and lives by it. And so we're going to start implementing it. And we'd love feedback on if you start using it as well when you're back here next month. And then a couple of different email tools or private email providers that are not tracking your information or selling your information: Proton Mail, Hushmail, and Malifence. I personally have used Proton before. I've not used Hushmail and Malifence, so I can't speak to them. But if you have, let us know how you like it. And a couple of other resources that we love, which Mozilla, they have been incredible about the tools that they share. They have something on their website called, on Mozilla Foundation, they have something called, I think, like the privacy tracker, and it allows you to see what type of information different just technologies that you buy are collecting. They have a creepy meter that you can basically rate how creepy the tool is depending on your feedback. And it's an interactive tool. It's for the community and it's incredible. Privacy not included. There you go. Thank you so much. And then the markup is a wonderful resource. They watch big tech. They tell you so much relevant information about what's going on in the industry, keep you up to date. And they also have a tool called Blacklight that allows you to check different websites to see how creepy those websites are and what kind of information those websites may or may not be collecting about you as well. So here we are at the end. I appreciate everyone's patience, especially as I had somebody delivering an Amazon package and ringing our doorbell over and over again, and my husband was not here to answer the door. So I appreciate everyone's patience through that, and everyone's willingness to take the first step to become more privacy aware, digitally mindful, and join us to critically think about our relationship with the internet. We are so thankful for you all and your support. We have some incredible announcements on the way, some really fun things in the pipeline, and couldn't be more grateful for the community that we are building. And we hope what we've provided has been of value and helpful. We hope you like the worksheet. We're trying something new by providing these worksheets. There will be a recording that gets sent out to everyone if you had to step away from the program so that you can watch it later. We'll also email you the worksheet again and this deck that will be available for you once we add some watermarks to them. And we'll also eventually have all of our sessions available on our website. But if you're interested and curious, you can head to our YouTube channel and you'll have access to all of our previous sessions there as well. I appreciate you all deeply. Again, I'm Tazeen Khan, CEO and founder of Cyber Collective, and we can't wait to see you next time. Definitely open to any questions or comments, thoughts, feedback that anybody has, especially anything that we can do differently to help make these sessions more insightful and even more helpful. I will leave myself available for the next 5 minutes or so to answer any questions that folks may have. But outside of that, thank you all very, very much for being here. And just want to say a shout out to all of my family that made it in tonight. My father-in-law, my mother-in-law, my brother-in-law. I love that. My brother-in-law tuned in from New Zealand. Thanks, Dad. We're here to teach you. Say hi to my father-in-law, guys. He's one of my favorite people in the universe. His name is Mark. Well, thank you all so much. Oh, Chloe, is there a way I can get involved as a researcher? So 100%. We actually have a contributor program that we are launching. And if you are interested, inquire through our website, and we'll send you the link to the contributor program and what we're looking for, and then see how we might be able to collaborate together. Actually, let me drop the link in here for you, Chloe, because it's just easier that way so that you can see what we're looking for and some of our expectations. Ooh, already on it. Farah is already on it. 17 people left in this session. We had a full house tonight. If there are any other questions, or if you want to speak up and have a conversation, say hi, ask me anything, now is your chance, or forever hold your peace. Bye, Dad. See you next month, Mama. So awesome. I can't wait until people on YouTube see me saying hi and bye to my parents on this. It's going to be great. Amazing. Well, thank you all. Wow, thank you so much, Katrina. That's really cool. Automotive security. If you ever want to collaborate, talk about some of the things that you're learning, write a blog for us. We have a contributor program. We need as much help as we can get. So that would be amazing. Feel free to reach out. All right. Thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful, wonderful evening. And I hope you all just joy and peace in your hearts. Take care.